With the conventions over and just 99 days left, the general election campaign is officially on. Hillary Clinton and her running mate Tim Kaine are on a bus tour through the Rust Belt, and we caught up with them yesterday in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Amid reports Russia has hacked into Democratic Party files, even a program they shared with the Clinton team. We sat down with Clinton for the first time in this campaign, and that's where we started. Secretary Clinton, welcome back to Fox News Sunday, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Chris, and it really is good to be here.
Do you believe that Russia is behind the hacking and release of the DNC emails? And do you think that Vladimir Putin wants to defeat you, or see you defeated, and Donald Trump elected president?
Well, Chris, here's what I think we know. We know that Russian intelligence services, which are part of the Russian government, which is under the firm control of Vladimir Putin, hacked into the DNC, and we know that they arranged for a lot of those emails to be released. And we know that Donald Trump has shown a very troubling willingness to back up Putin, to support Putin, whether it's saying that NATO wouldn't come to the rescue of our allies if they were invaded, talking about removing sanctions from Russian officials after they were imposed by the United States and Europe together because of Russia's aggressiveness in Crimea and Ukraine, his praise for Putin, which is, I think, quite remarkable.
So are you suggesting that Putin would rather see him as president than you?
Well, I'm not going to jump to that conclusion, but I think laying out the facts raises serious issues about Russian interference in our elections, in our democracy. We would not tolerate that from any other country, particularly one with whom we have adversarial positions. And for Trump to both encourage that and to praise Putin, despite what appears to be a deliberate effort to try to affect the election, I think raises national security issues.
Trump, after the backlash about his comments.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
Trump said he was just being sarcastic.
Well, I think if you take his encouragement that the Russians hack into American email accounts, if you take his quite excessive praise for Putin, his absolute allegiance to a lot of Russian wish list foreign policy positions, his effort then to try to distance himself from that backlash, which rightly came not just from Democrats, but Republicans, independents, national security and intelligence experts, leads us once again to conclude he is not temperamentally fit to be president and commander-in-chief.
You carved up Trump pretty good in your acceptance speech.
Donald Trump says he wants to make America great again. Well, he could start by actually making things in America again. A man you can bait with a tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons.
Here is a guy you say is unfit to be president. Why is this election still so close?
Too many Americans feel, Chris, like they've been left out and left behind by our economy, by our government. I understand that frustration and frankly, even that fear that some people feel that, you know, it's just not working for them, and they are looking for answers. I think the kind of inflammatory answers that Trump has provided, blame somebody, blame immigrants, blame Muslims, blame women, blame somebody, is attractive in the first instance to people who are looking for answers. But what I'm counting on, what I believe, he has offered nothing to help people. I believe we have put together an agenda to increase jobs, increase incomes, make our economy grow and be more fair, which is going to appeal to a majority of Americans.
Good, because I want to talk not about Trump, but about you and drill down into some of the positions that you've taken in this campaign. At a fundraiser last year, you said this: the Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment. Now, in the 2008 Heller case, the court said that there is a constitutional individual right to bear arms. What's wrong with that?
Well, I think what the court said about there being an individual right is in line with constitutional thinking. And I said in the convention, I'm not looking to repeal the Second Amendment. I'm not looking to take people's guns away. But I am looking for more support for the reasonable efforts that need to be undertaken to keep guns out of the wrong hands.
And the Second Amendment includes an individual right to bear arms.
Yes, but that right, like every other of our rights, our First Amendment rights, every right that we have is open to and even subject to reasonable regulations.
I just want to pursue this a little bit because Heller, Justice Scalia, he said that the right to bear arms is reasonably limited. He left the door open to regulation. If you're elected president, you're going to appoint the 9th Supreme Court Justice. Are you saying you do not want to see the Heller decision, the individual right to bear arms, overturned?
No, I don't. But here's what I do want, and I want to be very clear about this. I want the Congress to step up and do its job. I want to get out of the horrible cycle we're in, where we go and mourn dozens, hundreds, thousands of people killed by gun violence. Everybody says, oh, let's pray, let's, send our hearts and our feelings, and then nothing happens. We're better than this. The gun lobby intimidates elected officials. The vast majority of Americans, including gun owners, support the kind of common sense reforms that I'm proposing.
On immigration, you say that you would go even further than President Obama in deferring the deportation of people in this country illegally, and you say if Congress doesn't act, that you would support even tougher executive action. I want to ask you about separation of powers, because the Constitution is clear. All legislative powers reside in Congress. It doesn't say if Congress doesn't act, the president can do whatever he or she wants.
Well, let's sort that out, because it's an important question. When it comes to immigration, I believe strongly that comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship is not only good for people who are living under the shadow of deportation, it's good for our economy. So I think this is on the must-do list. And I hope that after this election, the Congress, which voted in a bipartisan way in 2010 and 2013 to actually take action, will come back and say, okay, let's do this together.
But if they don't,
well, if
what
they
gives
don't,
you the right to do executive action? I mean, that's Congress's decision.
No, there is a lot of precedent, legal precedent, about how presidents enforce the laws. Let's look at deportation. Whoever is president gets to determine what the priorities are. My priorities are deport criminals, violent criminals, as fast as we can. Deport anybody that we think even has a possible link to terrorism. But don't go rounding up hardworking mothers and fathers, taking them out of the factories or the hotels or the homes where they're working, making them disappear and leaving their children alone. That doesn't make any sense to me.
But if you're talking about executive action that's going to affect not a few people or 100 people, I understand prosecutorial discretion, but that's going to affect millions of people, aren't you changing the law? Aren't you writing the law?
No, because here's what I think. The Supreme Court has sent back for trial the challenges to the president's authority to take categories of people and remove the threat of deportation.
And as president, you would be able to name the justice who could break the tie.
Well, but first let's go and have the trial. That is true, that I hope that I will have that chance, because it's not just that, it's Citizens United. It's a lot of things that I think the current court got wrong, respectfully, for our democracy.
So you'd like to see all those things change with your Supreme Court justice?
Well, whoever the next president is will get to appoint at least one, maybe more Supreme Court justices. And there are a lot of decisions that I approve of that this court has made, first and foremost marriage equality. But there are decisions that I do think, when taken to their natural conclusion, have hurt our democracy, have undermined our economy.
But what about precedent?
The precedent is absolutely in line. And, you know, I taught law. I'm a recovering lawyer. I know that precedent is something that you look to, but I also know that courts can take a look at precedent and determine that maybe they weren't right the first time.
You say you're the real change agent in this campaign, but I think it's fair to say that you're building on the Obama agenda. You're not rejecting it. 69% of Americans think that we're on the wrong track. We just found out that GDP growth in this last quarter was 1%. It's the slowest economic recovery since 1949. And you're offering tweaks, not a dramatic shift.
Well, I think what I'm offering are proven results. I think what I'm offering is that we can build on where we are. We've dug ourselves out. We're standing, but we're not yet running. I'm not happy with the status quo. I've said that repeatedly.
But you're offering more government programs,
well, but
more spending,
let's look,
more entitlements, more taxes,
no.
more tax penalties and credits.
Well, but let's unpack that. What I'm offering is the biggest job creation program since World War II, and I hope to be able.
But it's infrastructure. That's what Obama did.
But he didn't get to do enough. And he didn't get enough support from the Congress. It took years this time under President Obama to do something. We've got roads, bridges, tunnels, ports, airports, water systems, all failing, all being less than efficient in a time when we want to lift our economy and take on the rest of the world. And we've got some new challenges. We need a new electric grid.
But a lot of this is government. That's my point.
No, but it's going to be public-private sector. I mean, I'm looking for ways to start a national infrastructure bank. Seed it with federal dollars, but bring in private investors who want to make those commitments. I believe that America is ready for this, Chris, because we need to rebuild our infrastructure, which will create millions of jobs, and lay the foundation for many more millions to come.